Hello everyone, many thanks for joining in. This is Matters That Matter, and for many weeks now we've had the chance, the opportunity to speak to some of the biggest thinkers that you can find on some of the major actions, or should I say social action issues that really are involved in Nigeria. I'm Femi D. Amelem. And yes, this conversation is brought to you by HPS, Heinrich Boell Foundation. They provide an excellent platform for thinkers, for people in civic society space, and much more. But the goal here is to stimulate public debate, right? An action that provides a sustainable Nigeria as we would have it. And yes, we'll be doing that. So feel free to watch any of the episodes that we have running. But today, I'm super excited to introduce three wonderful guests. They are younger than me. Not to say I'm old, but younger than me. And yes, this conversation is brought to you by Fire Radio Co. in partnership with Abuja, produced by Vibing Brands. For more content, please feel free to follow at the Volume Pod on YouTube. Okay. Now, we're in a society where opinions really do matter. Even opinion on when you should stop or start anything at all. Opinion on things like climate, opinion on things like, public health, opinion on things like law, opinion on women and, the gap that there is to fill up. There's so much to say, there's so much to do. But what if there's an academy that formulates the opportunity for young people to learn and resource them with a level of thinking, mixing quite a number of mentors here and there to help their thinking to be different and good? Well, that's the chance that the Green Academy has done excellently over the last few sets of young people who have graduated there. And by the way, you find more about the Green Academy right there on the HPS website. Yes, feel free. It's going to scroll on the screen in a short while from that. So feel free to go and read and also capture the experience of some of the people who have gone through that academy. But I did get the chance to go across three sets, courtesy of Madam Ere, who is, I will call her our academy professor. Yeah, she did get three people for us to speak to across three sets, and I'll take time to introduce them. Phoebe is here. Phoebe John is a lawyer, an advocate of community justice, women's rights, and children's rights. With over 5 years of experience, she has advanced access to justice for women, young people, and marginalized groups through digital advocacy and community-based initiatives, okay? She's done NULA, right? That's law school, also part of the law practice from, NULA Justice Fellowship, if I'm not mistaken, from there. In her current role as project officer at NULA Nigeria, she leads implementation and capacity building initiatives for law students. And yes, that's a lot. And by the way, NULA is in quite a number of campuses, and the team from NULA was here some weeks back. So I do know what it entails to run such, institution. Hannatu is here. We have to leave the guy to the end. He doesn't mind. Okay. Hannatu is also here. Hannatu Ahmadu Manu is a public health specialist. She holds a first degree in biochemistry, a master in public health at Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. She's a dedicated professional with strong analytical skills and provocative work ethic and the ability to take initiative in various aspects of her work. Ms. Hannatu has actively contributed to initiatives aimed at addressing gender-based violence, and as a volunteer with the Nigerian Women Trust Fund on the End Violence Against Women and Girl Child program, she gained valuable insights into the root causes of gender-based violence, analyzed reliable data and trends on abusive activities, and she is also a 2024 alumni of the Nigerian Green Academy. Her professional experience includes serving as program assistant at the Institute of Human Virology, a consultant with Chemonics International, and the programs officer at Only you. Okay, let's just leave it at that. Every other thing they'll find out about you as you go on. And promises it. The man promised to us to be on this podcast. He's an award-winning journalist who tells stories about social justice, conflicts, African geopolitics, and climate change. Yeah? He's a media trainer with experience training more than 300 early career campus journalists. His work has been published by world-class media organizations such as The Guardian UK, that's a big one, The African Report, African Argument, Interpress Service, Minority Africa, and many others. He has participated in notable programs, including the Heinrich Boell Foundation Nigerian Green Academy 2025 alumni. We can call you alumni now, I promise, Abi. You are senior. Of course, there will be 2026. And it's a program that is constantly ongoing. So I say to you guys, welcome, Phoebe.
Thank you.
Promise, Hannatu.
Thank you.
All right. I did promise that I was not going to be tough for you guys. I just really want to get into this. Let's start with, why did you apply to join the Green Academy in the first place? So let's start with you, and why and when?
So I joined in 2025. I was part of 2025 batch, and I joined because, of course, I'm a young advocate, and you can get confused in the mix of it, and you don't really know what to do. And at one point, you can be confused. That's the aspect of what do you actually want to advocate for? Because there are a lot of issues to advocate for, and if you're passionate about advocacy, then we tend to maybe see a lot of things to advocate for. And I joined, and it was the best decision actually that I made, because it helped me to narrow my thoughts and to actually see the holistic approach in advocacy. It touches across everywhere. Just because maybe I'm in the climate or environmental sector, that doesn't mean that I'm not still interfacing with governance and gender and all of that. So it helped me to actually narrow everything down.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, sometimes when you're reading through those applications, why should I apply? And I promise to knows this. There's a lot of opportunities. It will come your way. You start to look at yourself, me versus this. Should I apply? Will they pick me? Let me not waste my energy. But your energy has been very fruitful. You've been picked. So tell me about what it was like being picked, and why you think you were picked, and why you think it will reward being picked.
I was so excited when I got the email that I was selected for the program, because actually I've been looking forward to the program.
Oh, you knew about it before?
Yes. I have a colleague who was a part of the academy in 2024, and I saw how his life changed because of the things that he learned in the academy, and I was like, oh no, I have to be here. And for me, I thought that it's not enough that young people are being told you are the leaders of tomorrow. I think what matters is making them understand the strategies, that would make them very, very effective and efficient, in the so-called tomorrow. So I needed to be in that kind of space, right? So I've been looking forward to the application, and thank God when the call for application came out, a friend of mine shared it with me. Oh, promise, you need to apply for this. Even when I looked at it, I was like, should I just apply for it? Will I be selected? So I was a bit reluctant. She kept pestering me, promise, you must apply for this. Then, of course, I did, and I'm really excited that I was a part of it. And for me, I think it's one of the most, intensive trainings I have ever attended in my life. I remember it was really intensive, to be honest, and I learned so much. And I would say that the future is bright for me.
Wow.
Yes.
All right. I like that level of confidence. And I don't know if Phoebe would agree with me on this. So what I know about the academy, and for the 2025 guys, I actually reached out to the academy professor. I know she may not like me to call her that, but Madam Mary, I reached out to her a few times. I said, I want to come to the grounds just to see what is going on there. I've seen the videos, and looks like it's ultimate search for your life. They carry you far into the forests, and you cannot just be there. What was your experience when you got there and realized it was not a 5-star hotel, but this is like, think your life and be serious with us?
I thoroughly enjoyed it, because I'm this kind of person that if I'm doing something, I like to go all in. So when I got there and I saw how intensive it was, how immersive the whole thing was, I found it really interesting, because if you're a serious-minded person, you naturally like serious environments. So really, I
enjoyed it.
Yes.
Yeah. And about the name tags, I know that's one of the first things that they ask you. What do you think about the academy? You get your name tag so that nobody gets lost on campus. We can call it a campus, can we?
Of course.
Okay.
Certainly.
So let me go in around the issue of being on campus. Green Academy, there are many official ways or formal ways that people would define it, right? But for you, I'm sure it has meaning now that you're on the end of it as an alumni. How would you define the Green Academy? And how do you think it relates to the society we are in Nigeria, with the work they're doing and the society that we have to live in and deal with? Yeah? Let me start with you, Phoebe.
Okay. So much of the work in the Green Academy, the various areas that they pull
What areas, please?
individuals. So you have people coming in, people that work in governance coming in. You have young people that are working in arts, poetry, various forms of art, civic space protection, women's rights. People from different areas and different sectors. So
Yeah.
yeah, so bringing all of these people together at the Green Academy. Sorry, can you?
Campus, yeah? Okay,
Yes, the campus.
bringing them together, of course, the idea of how you would define the academy even now.
Exactly. So it's all tied to sustainable development. You see how all of these areas are tied to each other, and yeah.
Yeah, it's a good start.
So when I think of Green Academy, I think of sustainable development. I think of green in terms of thriving, how the society, how we ensure that the society we live in continues to thrive, and how all the various sectors can work together to ensure that we have a thriving society. So, I mean, anytime I think of the Green Academy, that's what comes to my mind, especially now that I'm out.
Okay, Hannatu, what about you?
Okay, so I think if I'm to define the Green Academy, I'll call it a university for advocates.
University for Advocates.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Because that was mainly what they were pushing towards, just trying to build up advocates with a different mindset. And trust me, I know everybody has said it is quite, they have a lot of activities. It is quite, what's the word that they used?
Intensive.
Thank you very much. But it is also very interesting. I think it's the first time that you go through lectures and you're not bored of anyone. I wonder how the university professor, as you call her, picked.
That's Madam Ereba.
Yes, I wonder how she picked them. But I didn't have a boring session. Even when we had the talk on governance, I'm not someone, as you read, I'm mostly on the public health aspect, and I'm really low on governance, but I could actually understand what he was saying. So they found a way of keeping us check and keeping everything interesting. That's why I call it the advocacy or university for advocates.
Okay, so we're going to pick it up from the University of Advocates, and this is me now coming to promise on this. So it's intensive. It is, what's the second word now? Immersive, yeah. Okay, so University of Advocates, and she's identified that going into the academy for hours, me and my governance life were not there. It was a little bit low. What was something that you would consider? So for some people, it's social media. Like, I can be training and I'll be the last to find out. That's my own problem. I can be training, I'll be the last to find out. So I literally turned off my notification. That's the issue I have to deal with. But for you, what area were you like, okay, we're almost there, but then when you got to the academy, I mean, there was a push to who you were.
She said it's an academy for advocates.
University.
Me, I would say it's an institution for strategic studies.
Ooh,
yeah,
okay.
Because,
this is getting interesting.
Yeah. Of course, I've been using social media before I went to the academy. But when I went there, like, it was, what's her name again?
Cynthia,
yes. When she took us on that session, it was really eye-opening. I mean, like, how best we can use social media to push forward what we are doing and to make it very, very effective. So it was an eye-opener for me, and I would say that I've been employing some of the things she had. She taught us, and I've been seeing some changes. So the conversations we had on gender, I've prior to that session, I will call myself a gender advocate, but after the session, I had to question some of the things that I believed in about gender. So for me,
what did you believe about gender that became different?
I think there was, before the session, she gave us there was a task, and she said that we should write the things that we think that men can do and women can't do, and then write the things that we think that women can do and men can't do, and the things that...
That's easy now.
But it wasn't.
Really?
It wasn't, to be honest.
Why was it difficult?
Because at that point, my bias were being challenged.
Like, maybe it will help me too. Or maybe there are biases that need to be challenged. But like which one was something that was challenged?
For example, when it was about what women can do that men can't do, and I was like, what kind of a question is this? So, in fact, I didn't write anything. I submitted a blank.
Prof now knows. Prof now knows some dead blank script. Okay, go on.
But when she started the session, she told us that we've been trying to limit we've been trying, for many of us, gender equality has been about sex, right? Woman and man.
Man, yeah.
But the reality is that that is not the way it is. I can remember she said gender equality and gender is a social construct, and over time it changes. I remember I put that quote on WhatsApp and my inbox blew up. People were asking, probably, what exactly do you mean? What do you mean that gender is a social construct? Are you saying women can change to men and men can change to women? And I said, no, that the roles we tie to sex can be changed over time. Before, women were not allowed to study courses like engineering or involve themselves in occupations like driving. But now we are seeing that change, right? So that means that even the biases that we hold now, it's possible that they can be changed. And this is what we should do out there, letting people know that the biases that we carry, regardless of the fact that we've been using culture and religion to reinforce them, it's still possible that we can change them.
You know, it's interesting you say, oh, by the way, I just remembered one joke that is the girls that are not usually very fine, the ones that come to engineering. That's one bias that probably will need to change when you say that. But it's interesting that you do say that some of the things that we've held sustainably, culture and society has held that, especially when it comes to women and men. Let me come to you, Phoebe, on this. What are your thoughts about that? You now being an advocate, right? You think of the tools that are available to you to meet up with some of those things that's been held from forever to forever, right? And now you have to work. What are some of the tools and methods that was shared at the academy for you guys to say, okay, try, rethink, react, and build new actions along these lines?
Casting my mind.
Yes, please, feel free. Yeah, feel free.
Yeah, so I think for me, one of the tools I picked from that session with Miss Joyce was gender conscious programming, right? And for us as advocates, when you're designing programs, you actually have to be very conscious about the gender component of your of the work that you are doing. And so with the gender programming, you have to, so when you're thinking of designing a program, right, you need to think about how that issue that you're trying to solve, how it affects the different genders that are involved, and how best to address the needs and the challenges of the different genders involved and all of that. So that's one tool that I picked from there that is helping me to navigate the landscape.
And also, you want to jump in on that?
Okay, so I will still stick to my holistic thinking.
Okay, please explain to us, because it's not exactly the type of word you want to use when you are talking to someone very easily. So share with us.
As a tool, I would say it means not fixating your advocacy on one thing alone and not looking at other factors around it. So as I said, when I got to the Green Academy, I was actually working with an NGO that was gender-based advocacy, but on reaching there, I switched to an environmental, which I actually met the person there. And it was easy for me to navigate that
landscape, space,
that space, even though coming from a gender perspective. And as I said earlier, I came in from program officer to communications officer. So it was holistic for me. Everything came to play. When I'm also, just as you said, when you're designing attendance or as small as attendance invitations, I had to ensure that women were included, even though it's an environmental space. That is where the holistic idea is coming in. And then when it also comes to governance, you also have to find a way to, understand, just as we're taught. The government is not always wrong. They are seeing their own view from where they are, and we, the people, are looking at the government from where we are. So we need to look at each other from each other's point of view to understand and be able to navigate it. Remove emotions from whatever you're doing. Just look at the problem and then look at the solution. So it also helped in that aspect. So the holistic view. So I did not just say, because I'm the environment space, I will just be preaching climate and no. But I'm there, but I'm also looking at it from the part of, how can I involve women? How important are women in this aspects? How can they help in the environmental space? And then try to bring them in. And also look, how can it help our economy too? Am I advocating for plastics, and how does it help the economy? I'm bringing it in from there because I feel that is how the government will be able to respond to me. They will not respond with gender, they will respond with economics. So that was how I was able to tie it all round, the holistic approach.
And I agree with you. I mean, even though you say holistic, there's also the part about you almost coming off to me as a strategic thinker. Remove emotion from it. I'm like, auntie, we should remove emotion from it. But emotions, for example, promise as being, if you're emotional and passionate, past advocates that I know in the generations before us, and this is me coming close, don't I look like a Gen Z, right? In the generations that have gone before us, right? They are passionate, they are quite emotional about some of the things that we're facing now. And this question I'm about to ask comes from what Phoebe and I were discussing when we started off, to say the problems they faced when they were doing advocacy and doing all of that is different a little bit now because there's digitalization, there's technology and the likes of that. But Promise, what's your thoughts on how to be an advocate that is pragmatic, that will see the side of the government, like what she said, and see the side of what advocacy needs to be done? Because I'm sure by now your line of sight on issues, whether it is women, whether it is climate, is different. To say you must be able to juggle the two sides. How do you build such a tool to say this is what this is without becoming too emotional about the whole thing? To say we no go agree, Nigeria must do what I say, and such perspective.
For me, I would say the first step is planning.
Oh, planning.
Yes.
Okay.
So you plan, what do I want to do? And I think that's one thing that the academy helped to reinforce.
Okay, so let me drag you into a more detailed answer on this. What do you plan to do with, let's say, something you have identified right now that you think is going like this in Nigeria, right? Before you join the academy. Now you have gone through the academy. What's your plan looking like around that? So as you answer the question, you're using a life scenario, or should I say a case study?
Of course, I'm big on gender.
Oh yes, you are.
So
our professor, madam.
For me, and I'm very particular about the reserve seat bill.
Oh, reserve seat bill. Okay, tell me about it.
The bill that wants more women to be in
inclusive in leadership.
Yes,
government.
Exactly.
Yeah. And by the way, I hope you know HBS is a big advocate on that.
Of course,
great.
So what I want to do is to use the media to amplify why that is important. To train, just as I've always done, young campus journalists who would take the message forward. Yeah, because a lot of people do not know about it. A lot of people who would actually add their voice to the, don't know about it. So I think for us as media people, what we can do is to use the media to shape opinion so that people can see the importance of why women should be allowed and be given the room to be.
Let me look for drama. When one of the facilitators, Dorothy, was here, I don't know which session she taught, I used the word allowed. He said, what did you say? Allowed care. Why allowed? Why it is something we deserve to have. It's reserved for us, right? I'm not picking on you by saying allowed.
Okay.
I mean, you're explaining it back to us why you want to do so. Yes. But by the way, there's a question she would answer as well.
I think it's a gradual process. If you want to use force, it won't work. Yeah, so if you come to one thing that what one of the facilitators said during the session was, men are the custodians of gender equality. That's a big thing.
Jeez.
Yes. Now, sadly, women think that, it's men that do not want gender equality. I think that's what she meant. That it is, we could actually come up together and say, it is time that we break these barriers. It's time we cancel these biases, right?
Yes.
So I think if you want to approach people who have grown up in societies that have always reinforced
patriarchy.
Yes, exactly. So it's a gradual process, right? So I think you can actually begin by saying allow before you move to the next. Before you make them see reasons why you actually deserve that space. So be in that space first. Then when you are there, you advocate with force. But for now,
no, she doesn't agree with you. Something tells me Phoebe doesn't agree. She doesn't like the allow part.
So I think on that issue, right? I don't really have a yes or a no answer, right? I think it depends on what we are dealing with per time, right? And the particular space that you're trying to break into and what the structure in that space currently looks like. There are some situations where it helps to actually put your feet on the ground and say, we deserve this and we must get this. You have to use force to break in. Otherwise, there is no diplomacy around this. And then there are situations where you see that it could actually be due to a lack of understanding, right? Because she said something earlier when she said that the government are seeing what they are seeing, the citizens are seeing what they are seeing. So men are seeing what they are seeing and women are seeing what they are seeing. So there are instances where what we need to do is to make the other gender to see, in this case now, to make men see why it is important that women contribute to certain areas, and through dialogue, just making them understand. Giving an example, for instance, women's reproductive health, those are issues that men cannot really relate to, right?
See, and that was one of the answers you were supposed to write, though.
So these are issues that men cannot really relate to. Yeah, so it helps to employ diplomacy in those kind of situations because their understanding of those issues are limited. And so if you come with from that perspective of these men, they are against us and all of that, sometimes that kind of approach it can bring about defensiveness, and then you'll not be able to actually achieve maybe the policy change that you're aiming for, or the collaboration that you are seeking. So like I said, it depends. It depends. Yes.
And I just remember that you're a lawyer, right? And of course, you also deal with campus lawyers or lawyers to be from time to time because of your work with NULA. Resistance is something that every society in the world struggles with. Resistance. So let's say, today, like these 3 cups are white. My own is black. Somebody say, why?
Exactly.
Why should you have black? Why can't Phoebe have the black cup? Society has always had resistance to changes, right? As we have it. But we're in an interesting generation. The Yoruba slogan is Sorosoke, which is speak up, right? And you start to think about what experience you have now and some of the people who are speaking up, but their methods are not exactly sitting well. What do you think young people who are professionals, some lawyers, some journalists, some public health experts like you guys are, can do along the lines of speaking up, but in an ecosystem or in a better way, such that they're able to fight, or should I say push off the resistance? Like you said, some things you wait, some things you don't wait.
Okay. So if I get you correctly, you're saying what can young people do
Yes.
to can you
To push back the resistance that society sometimes provides, from climate issues to women sitting, a reservation bill. I mean, many issues that exist, right?
so
Governance as well.
okay. So I would say that what young people can continue to do is to continue to advocate, continue to educate as well. Because like I mentioned earlier, a lot of times you see that with this resistance, some people are operating from a place of ignorance or misunderstanding. So oftentimes whenever I have opportunity to interface maybe with other young people or from someone who is not from my own generation, and then we're talking on issues, and I can feel that person like they don't want to accept my own point of view because they feel, I don't know, for one reason or the other, maybe due to their experiences and their own worldview. So what I do in such instances is, first of all, I listen with empathy, right? I try to understand
You feel
why
sorry
that
for them.
person not necessarily.
No mind, I'm just teasing.
So I first of all try to understand where that person is coming from, right? And probably what may have informed those mindset that and the beliefs that the person hold. And then before I start to gently challenge those things, I start to ask questions that, makes the person to, think and say, and then come to an understanding, or try to or start to see my own point of view or where I am standing. So I would say that what young people can continue to do is to advocate and educate, because sometimes, like I said, some people are just operating from a place of ignorance. So with that resistance, you just make them see it, and then eventually they would
They embrace it
come
down the
around.
road.
I think
Yes.
I would love to add to
Okay.
that. So let's go back to the NSAS protests.
Okay.
Yes, of course there was a lot of resistance, right? But I think why for me, why the protest wasn't successful and didn't bring out the results that were expected to yield was because it was so disorganized. There was no clear leadership. There was no clear structure on what the protesters wanted.
But they said that was the plan, actually. That was a good plan, not to have a visible leader.
That is not effective. I'll go back to what just happened in Madagascar.
Okay.
There was a protest. It was as if it was successful. The president fled the country. Oh, I'm not in support of violence, right? I don't endorse violence.
He just went to the corridor. He didn't
He
flee.
fled the country because they had no plan. Okay, now he has gone. What next? They had no plan, and the army just stepped in. And I believe situations will become worse than when he was in power. But let's now go back to Nepal. There was a protest, but they had planned. I believe they had planned that if we eventually make sure that our leaders are out of power, we would find an avenue to put new leaders. So what happened? They went to this court and they had a vote, and then they chose a new leader. So I think for me, it's about having a strategic plan. Okay, yes, we are facing resistance, but what if eventually we overcome this struggle at this point in time? What do we do next so that things doesn't become worse than it is at the moment?
Or go back to how they were.
Exactly.
So go back. Well, let's allow Hannatu to add to your ad.
So to an extent, I'll stick with Phoebe on the aspect of awareness creation and ignorance. I feel like a lot of Nigerians, very few understand the issues, and those that don't understand the issues do not understand the issues. So they pick up their own perspectives from culture, from religion, and they are not looking at the issue as it is. And if you don't explain, you don't expect them to understand. Okay, so we had an issue in our organization. There's I don't want to bring up it's a lot of English, but it's technical English. So there are agreements that Nigeria signed and all of that, and there was one Montreal Protocol. It has actually been there for over 40 years now, or 40 years. Yes, they just celebrated 40 years this year, and we came in as an NGO. And the thing we did was, we invited media to our program. Please publish and let Nigeria create awareness on the issue. we are doing an inception workshop. This is what we are trying to target, the ozone layer, and trying to the whole English. And the publications came out and we did not understand what we were saying, because it was like what they were saying was different from, and these are environmental journalists. So we now had to go back to the books. It wasn't part of our plans in implementing that project, but it also helped. The academy actually helped, and I went back and met my bosses, and I was like, why don't we train the media? We know them already. We can reach out to them. Just give us your environmental aspects. You don't need to come. We do it online, visually, just 1 hour. But we break down the English for you. So you understand what you're actually advocating for. And since then, the reporting had changed. So there is a place for, if you want to actually cause behavioral change, people need to understand what is bad in the behavior and what they need to change about that behavior.
Exactly.
So that is where I'm coming in from.
And I agree with you, because we're in a society where sustained perceived bad behavior, is the standard. It's like when they say, somebody stole money, you say, he stole money or he's corrupt. There's a difference between stealing and corruption. The quantity of money you take would determine how evil you are, and those are some of the things that we've standardized in conversations. Yes, he went after this person, why not after this person? And you have all those kind of semantics go into all of this. So I want to ask you guys, as we start to build off now, like when we left campus, then everybody was like, me, doctor, now I'm qualified. I'll be doctor anything that happen. I will do anything and do anything in that way. What happens next? What are some of your immediate next steps? You've been a lawyer, you've been a journalist, you've been a public health expert. So this time, let me pick a volunteer. Who would start? Who wants to start? Okay, you've been outvoted. Okay, go on.
My next steps after the academy.
Yes.
First of all, one of the facilitators told us that change actually begins with us. Okay, well, we're not trying to amplify APC slogan. It's a change begins with us. So, regardless of what I want to do for the country, for my community, I must ensure that these values are things I actually believe in. Yes. For example, I want to hold politicians accountable. Okay. Why are you spending money for this and you're not spending money for that?
Accountability, governance.
But I must be accountable myself in my own personal life, even when nobody is watching. Okay, so that's one of the things I picked out from the academy. Going forward, of course, I'm a journalist. I would continue to use the media to hold the government accountable, employing the lessons I've learned from the Green Academy, to let people understand why gender equality and gender equity is very, very important. And one thing I would always thank HBS for doing in my life is how to plan. Trust me, when I came back home, I just brought out one of my books and I started planning my life. Like this is what I'm going to do from now to December. This is what I'm going to do. I've started planning for 2026. I will show you, but I have something here, but I will not read it out. Yeah. So I literally took that very seriously. Like, I mean, I feel like every young person should aim to be in that academy.
Yeah, fantastic. It's always good to have a plan, and just before you respond, I wanted to mention about having a plan. So at the end of maybe 1 year or 2 years, I go back to one of my planning diary, scared. Yes, but it's scary. What did I write versus what did I do? That moment you start to judge yourself, self-judgment.
Save 10,000 and then you cancel it. I saved 1,000.
My life.
Yes, I saved my life with it. I initially didn't like doing it, but I started to do it irrespective of whatever excuse or reason. Excuse meaning why it didn't work. Reason, you're a guy, you pull through. But those self-assessment really help, because after planning comes assessment. You must be able to add assessments around the corner. No matter how bad the assessment or good it may go, it's always there. What about you, Phoebe? What's next and how are you taking that on?
Okay, so when Promise was responding, it just made me, I cast my mind. I went back all the way to 2023 because I was in the 2023
Fantastic.
cohort. Yes, and I remember that one this goal setting session was one of the last sessions that we had at the academy. Oh, it's the same for you guys, yeah. So at the time, I've always been multi-passionate, so I was doing a lot of things at that time. But then, moving from the Green Academy, one of the speakers, particularly during one of the nights when we had a fireside chat, so issues around gender came up, and then I could see that, I was most passionate about these issues out of all the things that we had discussed around at the academy. So post the academy and working with the goal planning session that we had, I started to think about what issue I was most passionate about when it came to the issue of gender, and then I saw that was leadership. So I started to probe myself for that. Women's leadership, and how can I contribute to making the reality of women's leadership better as it is right now. And so I started to think about that, and then luckily for me, I think the Green Academy really does the most, right? Because around the same time that I started to draw up my plan clearly and say, this is how I am going to contribute to bettering the current reality of women when it comes to how we participate in leadership and how women show up in leadership. We got this a call for a micro grant. The Green Academy was supporting they were supporting fellows to implement mini projects, and they were going to support us, and I was like, fantastic. And so I drew a line between where I have been, because I've been working in governance and civic space, and I drew it from there to the issue of women's leadership and how women are showing up in governance and all of that. So I and my partner, Faith, we pitched, another member of the 2023 cohort, we pitched our idea, and then we went through the entire phase. And in fact, I'm proud to say that today, so as of this moment, within the last 2 months, we were able to train 150 girls across 3 secondary schools in FCT on leadership, because so to tie it up now, right? So the Green Academy helped me to discover the area that I was most passionate about, and then it helped me to think strategically on how I can be a solution provider in that area that I am very, very passionate about. And luckily, would I say luckily or graciously, they also supported me and gave me the platform to begin to do so much in that area. So yeah.
Okay.
I want to work on addendum. I'm not to say guess what, don't worry, but go on.
Okay, that's a response to what you said, that you feel like bad trying to look back at what you have done. There was this session we did. It was the first session. Okay. Rivers of Life. Yeah. Where we had to map out our past experiences, just like the way the river flows down to where we are at the moment. Okay. It was quite really emotional at the time, and for me, it helped me even after the academy. There was one time I was feeling so discouraged, so downcast. I was like, what have I really done this year? What were my wins? Then I still have the cardboard paper that we used, that I used to map out my river of life. And then I began to see my little wins. I was able to do this time. I was able to do that. I was able to do it. I faced this challenge, but I overcome. And that gave me confidence to believe that, if I can do this yesterday, I will do more tomorrow. So I think it's very important that we take our time to reflect on what we have done. Not just to feel sad, but also to encourage ourselves. And that's one thing the academy I've
told myself there's no sadness again. All na courage. So forward.
So let me, before Hannatu jumps in, let me conclude my Green Academy post Green Academy. So in addition to the training that we did, so we trained the girls on leadership and civic participation, and then we developed a toolkit for young girls as well on leadership and civic participation, and it's going to be up on the HBS website
Come on.
very soon. So,
Okay, that's good.
so
All right.
yeah, I mean it's
And
post the
we're
academy,
going to
the
add the HBS
eye-opening
website,
thing.
this section. We're going to add the website just now so that people can follow through. Yep.
All right,
Okay,
thank you.
great. That sounds good. Okay, Hannatu.
So Phoebe was talking and I was so impressed and I've forgotten the question. At one point I was like, Phoebe, I had to remind myself that she's my senior with 1 year, so I still have 1 year to catch up with what Phoebe has done in 2 years. So yeah.
Yes.
Please, can you?
No, just know about what you're going to do next. Okay.
So yes, next steps, exactly. So yeah, I think my next step started last year.
Nice.
Actually, moving from a different space to a new space, and yeah. So part of my plan was to, I think it's even in my jotter. This is my jotter that I used during the HBS training, and I opened it today again, and I saw that I want to actually improve the healthcare sector, and I'm happy with where I am now. I'm not there yet, but towards that next step, I think I'm beginning to gain more knowledge about factors that affect the healthcare. When they say healthcare, as my thought of then was just the hospitals, but what are the things that affect people before they get to the hospitals?
I see.
So another aspect that we stand out for me now that made me to see things differently was the aspect of Mr. Ikena when he was talking about fertilizers and HPs.
Yes, high hazardous pesticides.
Exactly. So
highly
yes,
hazardous pesticides.
it helped me to see things differently. We start advocating from the issues. We don't just come when the person is already almost in danger before we start. So I started at that point. I have written some things already to publish.
That's nice.
And yeah, and on my aspect too, I'm getting to interface with lead poisoning and other aspects of public health that basically environmental but also still affects people's health that will lead them to the healthcare sector. So
fantastic.
Yeah, I think I'm starting from that aspect of advocacy, and I personally want to have a farm. I think by next year that should be like my goal, my top goal, to have a farm that is organic farm, to also help out with that, just to understand, and then hopefully as time goes on train other people towards that side. So
would you be planting ginger?
I don't know yet.
Okay, at least I know I don't have competition yet, because I'm aiming for ginger. I'm aiming for ginger.
I'm looking at it, and I'm not. At first, I was worried about it, but then I thought about the fact that I have reached out to Mr. Ikena countless times. Like when I got the job, I studied public health masters, but I concentrated more on health promotion and prevention, not environmental health, and I got into that space. I can remember calling him and I was confused. And I called Madam of course, our professor. She was the first person I reached out to, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And I called him. She said, call Mr. Ikena, he will direct you. And I was like, I'm sitting in the room and they are talking and I'm off, because I don't know what they are saying. And he advised me and encouraged me. So that mentorship, it's still ongoing. And I know that he deals with this aspect of life. If I'm going to have my farm, I'm definitely going to meet Mr. Where can I get organic seeds from Mr. Ikena? Because you're the only one that can actually help me out in this.
No worries, my plug too.
Exactly. So you know that even though you've gone through the intensive training and all of that, you are not alone at the end of it.
Very true.
So that gives you backing to do more, because I know that wherever I find myself, whatever space, I'm calling them and they are always available. Actually, always available.
True.
He will tell you. There was one thing he told me, and I think he made me to calm down a bit. He was like, you must not know everything that they are talking about in this space. That is why you are in that room, so you can learn. And sometimes it's difficult for you to, especially if you're someone that is an overachiever, to be in a room and they're talking about something and don't know what they're saying. And then you're like, he was like, up till now I enter rooms and I don't know what they're saying on some things. And I sit down and listen. That is what a good advocate does. So, yeah.
Fantastic plan. I've also learned, I've learned from you guys a lot, mainly. Yes. Okay. Go on, promise.
Okay, so I wanted to say, you've been asking us questions. I think we
You
should
have-
also interview you.
Oh, okay. Right. Let's go. Let's go. But I have one major request. No, if you were going to ask me a question,
Okay.
when it comes to voting time, promise that you guys will vote for me. There's what the voting will take place in this room. The results will happen in this room, in the
Okay.
studio as we are, and we'll get to see. So I'll ask you what I'm asking for vote for. So go on and ask your question.
Okay, so I know you're very familiar with, with the Green Academy, you're very familiar with HBS, and sadly, during your time, there was no Green Academy.
Yeah.
Right.
When you say that, like I'm like,
So,
hello guys.
So, and I'm sure you've interacted with a lot of fellows. So, what's that thing that you would have learned from the Green Academy that would have pushed you a bit further than where you are at the moment?
Interestingly, when I started out as a journalist about 16 years ago, I started out in a public health journalism office called Development Communications. It was all about public health, so I understand your passion. I was sitting in rooms with people that made me very confused. Their plan was to confuse me, and they succeeded. And the next big thing then was, it was about the start of when people started talking about climate change. I had a boss called Akin, Mr. Akin. He would travel abroad, come back with books, and would say, take, those books are lesbians, take, study it. And then when you study after 3 weeks, you say, by the way, there's a proposal we're writing. So you're writing the proposal. You have been studying about climate and environment. You're writing the proposal. I'm like, okay, I did not know we were going to use this thing that I was reading. But to draw all that in, now, I would have a little bit of Mr. Ikena to talk to and say, okay, maybe this is not an academic situation, but this is going to be a life academy between me and you. What can I learn from you, right? And that will have changed maybe that direct passion for me. Today, I also have an NGO. So when I think about environment issues, right, I have an NGO called the Asset Development. When I think about environment issues, I'm like, okay, there's 1,001 things to deal with in Nigeria. But one thing I'm also very passionate about is issue of food, because if you get the food right, there are many other factors that go in there. So see, why Ikena is my plug. So just say I'm an old student still learning. And if I had the chance to go to Green Academy, there have been a lot of people that by now probably will have grown, who know people, who know people, who know people. That'll be different. The important lesson, the last part of what I'm saying is, don't let go of each other. That's very important. Don't let go of each other. Guess what? If you finish from school in 1998, if all of you, the guys that finished 5 years before you and 5 years after you, you guys hang out somehow, some way. They've gone 5 years of experience of meeting people that you have not met. The ones before you are still going to meet. So you have 10 years of resourcing to put you through. That is how I pull off my game today. So when I do meet, I want to have this guest. I call one senior journalist that I do not know. And they say, Femi, you are doing well. Okay, I'll talk to him. Okay, he has agreed to come. And that's that. So that's how sometimes it makes your work consistent. It makes you a true advocate of what you do. And it keeps you in the front line because you have people who will help carry your banners through. I hope I answered your question.
Of course, interesting. Don't worry, next year we would beg them to let you in. Next year.
I'll apply you, man. Okay, now to my voting before we round off, right? My question is, I wanted people to get to see the face of the person powering Green Academy, right, on behalf of HBS. Now, if I'm the one calling her forward a little bit, she'll send me email later to say, Femi, you call me forward. So as students, as scholars, and as side students, how many of us vote that we should have Madam Ere on camera?
2 of my hands.
2 of your hands.
2 of my hands.
Lo and
2
behold,
of my
you have it.
hands.
Please come forward to show first yourself. And just to say a little bit about Madam Ere, she is a programs manager at Heinrich Boell Foundation. She works extensively, right, to keep things going in many rights and many firms. And she is here with us this very lovely day as well. Yes, let's keep the hands going. And very soon, I mean, we're looking at training. Is it 500 now before 2026 is finished?
Maybe more.
Maybe more. Maybe more.
Powerful.
Depends on,
But yeah, so I'm just going to ask Promise to yield the seat for you for a few minutes.
Promise?
Yes, Promise.
Promise is my newest baby.
Yes, baby.
Last one.
Yes, I want him to yield the seat for you a little
Stand
bit.
behind me.
Yeah,
to
that would be
protect
great.
me from Femi. Yes.
So
This ambushing.
I know that we didn't plan this part, of the conversation, but I really wanted to know, you work with an organization, HBS, that is very passionate about young people and making impact in social thinking and social action. Talking about Green Academy, the vision that was set out and where we are now, how is that going?
I think every journey has its uniqueness and it's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Meeting new young people each year, seeing them grow, first coming in with tentative faith, not sure, anxious, because they see the program and it's action-packed, intensive, they're not so sure. And I would say my dislike for their wanting to stay on just social media space, but pulling them out and always criticizing their Gen Z-ness, which they complain about, getting them to be on their toes for 4 or 5 days is intensive, but seeing them blossom, it's a feeling that is hard to describe. I find it very fulfilling. And then hearing from them much later about what they've gone to achieve, the kind of things they've done with the experience. Some begin to write, some start up new programs, and most importantly, when they collaborate and tell me they're in one thing together, networking, or they've met somewhere in one conference, there are 3, 4, and then they send me a post. It's hard to describe, but it's a beautiful feeling. For me, I tell myself, okay, so I'm doing something positive. Yes.
And on behalf of the full academy and all the scholars that are out there, we just want to appreciate you one more time and appreciate HBS as much as you do. Thank you so much. All right, well, that's it for us on Matters That Matter for this very edition. We're so glad that she stayed on, and we're really, really happy about that. Remember, the conversation on Matters That Matters has been brought to you by HBS Foundation. They work with social thinkers, political thinkers, anybody that would just move the needle to make a difference. And that's what that's all about. It's brought to you by Fine Radio Co. alongside the Vibing brand, and we're glad we have done this very well. My guest, by the way, I almost forgot to talk about them. Promise Eze is a journalist, and he's going on to achieve big things. You've heard from the man. And yes, not missing out on Hannatu as well. She is a public health expert who is now exploring environment, public health, and many other areas as it really matters. She graduated from Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria. Phoebe John, yes, she is a lawyer, women's rights advocate, going on to do a lot of things, including with Nigerian Law School. She was one of the top, graduated top of her class. I missed that before. Huh? Oh, wow. She graduated top of her class from Prince Abubakar Audu University, graduated top of her class from the Nigerian Law School.
Yes.
That is levels. All right. And she's a fellow of both the Henry Boell Green Academy and of NULA Justice Education Fellowship. She does amazing work as well. Thank you all guys for coming on board today. So grateful to you. My name is Femi D. Amelem. Thank you so much again, and enjoy your day.
Thank you.